welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. You join me today for another finance, money related video, and today I want to share with you how I budget my income in order to make the most out of it and maximise my savings. Now, before we get started, I cannot stress this enough. I must remind you that everyone's circumstances are unique and everyone has different situations. So please bear that in mind as you watch this video. Your life circumstances may be entirely different to mine, which means you might not be able to save in the way I can, or I might not be able to save in the way you can. And if the conversation does get going in the comments, please keep it respectful because we do all have different situations. For me, I've set myself a goal to save £10,000 this year, and that is a significant portion of my income. For some people, that will be a really small saving, and for some people, that will be quite a lot. It really depends where you sit. But for me, one of the main reasons I feel like I have got that sort of income left over, one of the reasons could be because I haven't got children. Children can take up a lot of your money. So if you have your own children and you're thinking, I wouldn't be able to save that sort of money, then that's completely fine. That is your circumstance. So do please think on a personal level. I'm just sharing my budget because I think it could be useful for some people, but this is just one person's situation and you've got to do what is best for you and your circumstances. So all over the place, there are lots of things that are trying to offer you advice on how you should spend your income or how you should budget your income. One of the big ones I came across was the 50-30-20 rule, which says 50% of your income should be spent on the things you need, like your bills, your mortgage, your rent, your utilities, all of that. 30% should be what you want. So things that you enjoy, things that bring happiness to your life, whether that's going out for meals, buying clothes, taking trips, whatever that might be. And then 20% should go towards your savings. That to me seems very straightforward, it makes sense. And when I came to comparing my own numbers on what I currently spend in each area, they were very similar. For me, saving is a priority, so the percentage of my income that I put towards savings is higher than they suggest, and that means the percentage I keep for just free spending and wants is lower than what they suggest. So here's my breakdown. I'm going to be doing this based on my net monthly salary. So before I even see my money at the end of the month, income tax has gone out, national insurance has gone out, my pension has been contributed to, and I have paid towards my student loan. And all of these are done through my employer, so I don't see any of that money. I get my net income after that. So in terms of loans, my student loan is being paid off in the background. I don't see that money, so I don't really consider that a debt that is currently affecting me personally, directly. I haven't got to find the money after I've been paid to then pay off that debt. It's already happening in the background. So in case you haven't seen any of my money talk videos before, the way we work in my household is my husband has money and he earns it and it goes into his bank account. I earn my money and that goes into my bank account, and then we have a joint account that we pay all our bills from, so we both contribute the same amount towards the bills. Luckily for us, we've always earned pretty much the same amount of money. It's been always very similar, never very much in it in terms of a difference. So we both pay in the same amount of money every single month, and then our bills get paid out of that joint account. So for me, the amount I'm paying on my bills every single month is 45% of my income. So that is my first priority. Money comes in to my bank account from my job, and I put 45% of it on the first of every month into this joint account. My husband does the same, and then we've got this account that we pay the bills from. So coming out of that account is our mortgage, our utilities, which is gas, water and electric, council tax, insurances, internet, Netflix, and that is pretty much it. Oh, and we also buy gifts for birthdays, Christmas and whatnot out of that account, with the exception of when we buy gifts for each other. We buy that out of our own money, but all the other gifts for friends and family come out of that joint account. When I pay my 45% into that account, and so does my husband, that amounts to just a little bit more than what is required for our bills each month. So at the end of every month, there is just a little bit of money left over. And so that's slowly over time accumulating a joint saving, which is really helpful if something goes wrong in your house or you need something repairing, replacing. When we had to buy our new dishwasher, we bought that out of the joint saving that was left over in that account. So we didn't have to worry about finding that money. It was already there. And we would never make a big purchase if that money wasn't sat there waiting. We would wait until that saving has built up so we can then have the money to comfortably make that purchase. For me, then 30% of my money goes into savings. So paying my bills is my first priority. My second priority is then savings. So a lot of people put savings at the end. They sort of think, well, whatever's left at the end of the month, I'll save that. And for me, that just doesn't seem like the most sensible idea. I make savings the second item on the list. So after my 45% has gone out of my bank account into my joint account, and so I know all those bills are being taken care of, I then put 30% into savings. I have made a video on all the different ways I save my money, so if you want to see that, I will put it up here. But 30% of my income goes towards savings. For me, saving is such a priority. I almost consider it like another bill that I've got to pay. It's not optional, it's not if I've got a bit of money left at the end of the month after I've been shopping and after I bought this, that and the other and treated myself to this and that. That's not how I view it. For me, saving is a priority. I do my savings first, and then if anything's left at the end, if I want to spend something, if I want to treat myself, that comes out of that money left over, not the other way around. Which means I've got, at the end, 25% of my income is left to do whatever I want with it. The first things that come out of that are my personal expenses, if you like. So there are things that I pay for me that come out of my account on direct debit that, you know, it doesn't come out of the joint account. It's not something my husband needs to contribute towards because they're things for me. And that would be things like my contact lenses and my mobile phone contract. Those expenses don't actually amount to a lot, as I've mentioned before. I have a really cheap mobile phone contract because having an expensive one just isn't a priority for me. And then whatever's left of that money, I am free to do whatever I like with. If I want to buy something, I can. If I want to spend the money, I can. And more often than not, to be honest, because I've been doing a no-buy, this is my second year, I'm really discouraging myself from spending money unnecessarily on things that basically are a bit of a waste. So if there's money left at the end of the month, then my go-to really is just to save that and move that into one of my savings account and top those up a little bit more. So it might actually be more than 30% that I do end up saving, but 30% is just the round figure that I prioritize, that I absolutely do save. So those are my numbers. So I've got 45% on bills, 30% on savings, and then 25% free to spend on what I want. And that is my order of priority. So before I wrap this up, I just want to talk about a few personal choices we have made in order to either be sensible with money, save money, or to keep our household bills low. So the biggest one for us is we don't take anything out on loan and we don't have any debts. So we have our mortgage. That is a loan, that is a very big loan, and that is really one of two exceptions we have. One is our mortgage and the other is our student loans. But as I've already mentioned, we pay those off through our employer. We don't even see that money and we don't have to make the conscious effort to pay off that debt. It's going on behind the scenes. We consider student loans perfectly valid loans to have. You know, they have been the foundation that we have built our careers on, and so that's absolutely fine in our books. I know some people think if you can get through these things without having student loans, that's better, but for us, that was absolutely fine. We will not take out a loan from the bank for anything. We have never had finance on cars. Our cars we paid outright for. They are not anything special. They were both, I say second-hand, I was the fourth owner to my car. I've got the same car I bought when I was 21, which was the very first car that I ever had. It is now 10 years old. My husband's is 9 years old, and they are both small cars, very economical on fuel, really cheap to run, the insurance is low. All of the things we've got in terms of our cars are basically as cheap as we can get them while still having, you know, a well-functioning car. We don't want to have to pay out a lot in repairs. So it's really been about finding that middle ground. But we've not upgraded just for a nicer car. I understand maybe you need to upgrade if you need a bigger car for children, but that's not something that's applied to us. So we've both kept our first cars and we maintain them and we look after them. We don't have any credit cards in terms of to spend money that we don't have. I have a credit card and I've had a credit card for 2.5 years, and there were 2 reasons I set that up. The first is when we decided we were going to get married abroad, I wanted to make all those payments on credit card just because at the time I heard it was safer making transactions abroad, paying them on credit card, things like that. I don't know if that is actually true or if that's just rumor that goes around that spending on a credit card is safer and if something goes wrong it's easier to get your money back. I don't know if that's the case, but at the time I was thinking like that. The other reason is because I heard that it can help to improve your credit score, and if you haven't really got a credit history, which we didn't, we'd never had loans, we'd never had anything, it's a lot harder to get a mortgage. So by having a credit card you can almost build up your credit history. So I got a credit card purposefully to be sensible with it, and every single month I have had it, I have paid it off in full. Never has even the tiniest bit rolled over into the next month. I pay that off in full every single month, and if you are the sort of person that can't trust yourself to do that, I would honestly say don't have a credit card. We wouldn't use a credit card to buy something that we can't afford, and that is another one of our big rules. If you can't afford it, you don't buy it. You live within your means. And if you really want something and it's outside of what you can afford right now, you wait and you save until you can afford it. I'm sure a lot of this does sound really boring, but we have always tried our very best to be sensible with money because we don't ever want to be in an uncomfortable situation financially. And as I've said it before, we don't earn a lot of money, but we are comfortable because we are sensible with how we spend our money and how we save our money. If something bad happens, I feel like I've got enough in my savings that I could sort that problem out. It gets me out of that situation and I can start building my savings back up. Another thing we don't have is a landline. I know in the UK that's probably not an expensive bill anyway, but in the age of mobile phones, cell phones, we didn't feel like we needed a home phone, so a landline, so we don't bother with one. We don't have any premium services, so we don't have a cleaner, we don't have a gardener, we do everything ourselves, and then we don't pay for expensive packages on the TV, for example. We don't pay for terrestrial TV. In the UK, if you're not from the UK, we have something called Freeview, which means as long as you've paid your TV license, you get a wide variety of channels free of charge. However, you can pay for premium channels. We have things like Sky and Virgin Media where you can basically just pay money to unlock more channels. I think it's probably very similar to cable in the US, but I'm not sure. But these companies, some of them charge upwards of £40, £50 a month. We have never seen the value in that. We pay for Netflix, it's affordable, and quite honestly, we do get the use out of it. Because I'm not the sort of person that has time to just sit and watch TV, when I'm getting ready in the morning, I will pop my favourite TV show on my phone and take it around with me as I'm doing my makeup or doing my hair, eating my breakfast, and I'll watch something on there. So we do get our money's worth out of it. I genuinely put Netflix on just in the background every single day of my life. So some things, you know, you can say that you want to pay for, but for us, television that costs upwards of £50, it's just not happening. We limit things like eating out at restaurants or during lockdown having takeout once a month, just so that doesn't really start to build up and be really expensive. And we rarely make big purchases. I would say we probably make 1 or 2 large purchases in a year, and by large I would mean something like, for us, we had to buy a dishwasher. In the last year, my husband decided he wanted a new TV, so we bought a TV because the TV we had was the one we had in my bedroom when we lived at my parents' house. You know, it was small, so he decided he wanted a new TV. But we would make a purchase like that once our savings in our joint account were substantial enough that it wasn't going to leave us with no money whatsoever, and we would only do that maybe once or twice maximum a year. Another thing we do, as I've already mentioned, we put more into our joint account than is actually needed to cover our bills. That way that little bit of surplus does start to accumulate into a little bit of savings over time. And we never, this is joint account and our individual bank accounts, we never let our bank accounts go down to zero. We would never leave ourselves with no money in our accounts. It's not something we've ever been comfortable with. If it's a choice between buying something and having nothing left in my account, or not having it and knowing I've got a bit of a safety net, I'd always go safety net. And that is why for me, I do the things I do in a certain order. I do bills first, I do savings second, and then free money at the end. Because then if what's left in your bank account is money to spend as a choice rather than a necessity to keep the running of your house and keeping your family fed and all of those things, if that money right at the end you're spending by choice, you make the choice then not to spend it and not to go down to zero in your bank account. That is pretty much it for this video, and just a reminder, this is just one person sharing how they manage their finances, because it might help guide other people if they're just not sure what to do with theirs. Obviously, this is unique to my situation, and your situation could be very different to mine, so please bear that in mind. We're all living our own lives. As I've said, I've been pretty much career driven since I left university. I've settled down, I've got married, I've got a house, but I haven't got children. You might have children, you might be in rented. Everyone's financial circumstances are different. So hopefully, if anything, this might have just provided you with a different perspective on how someone deals with their finances, and you may be able to apply some of it to your own situation if you're thinking about making saving a priority. So that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.